Hi, this is part 4 of a video series on drawing from reference. You can find a link to parts 1, 2, and 3 in the description of this video. My name is Luis Escobar. I'm a storyboard artist on the Simpsons television show. I've been working on the show for over 20 years now. Just a really quick introduction to this one. I do start kind of drawing something in this video. And then unlike the last video that took 30 minutes, I actually just completely cut out all the drawing. It took me another 30 minutes. I even sped up the drawing process just to see. The program I'm using just kind of didn't want to compress it any more than 6 minutes, and it was still too long and it dragged. So what I did, I was just cut out the whole entire drawing process part, and I skip ahead and I just talk about what I did. So again, just a reminder. Remember last video, it took me 30 minutes, it took me another 30 minutes to do this one. So it's not something that just happens, it just doesn't go away. It just happens really quick. Okay, without any further ado, here's the video. I won't take this to like a crazy level of finish, but yeah, I don't know exactly what to do with this cape. Kind of covers. The thing about Batman is that you want him to be kind of covered up completely and be all mysterious. We did all this drawing of him, so we don't want the cape to cover him all up. Otherwise, what's the point of having the reference? You know, he's on a gargoyle or something. Looks like Dick Grayson as Batman. So thin compared to the way I tend to draw him. So once you have this, you can't just go in and start rendering. You have to go and define your shadow shapes again. Okay, so once you've got about this much done, um, depends on what you want. You can go and do a more comic booky style. You can do a more rendered style. You can start painting this. So for me, if I was to keep going with this and I was going to try to say paint it and maybe add some color and all that other stuff, I'm not going to do that right now because it takes a very long time to go into a full render. But what I would do from this point is I would take it and I would draw a Batman out of it, try to work out all the shapes. So that's what I kind of skipped ahead and did. So I took this rough that I did, and then I refined this much more than I had originally. And I took these lines and then I solidified them. I made it more, Batman-like and whatever it is. I forgot the utility belt, but that's okay. My point is that I took these shadow patterns and I added, because I was going to turn them into Batman, I added the Batman symbol, I had added the cowl. I had to add shadow shapes to work with that cowl. I had to add shadow shapes to work with the cape and things like this, and maybe a gargoyle to have him stand on. I did it really, really rough. So once I've got this, I would then go over it with a tone. A tone, again, like similar to what I had here, but I would do it to this particular drawing. So this is what I did to this. And the idea behind this is so that when you take away the lines, you've still got an image that looks like what you want it to look like. The ideal situation you want, because you're going to do like a finished painting, you don't want any line work. You want the image to work purely on light and shadow. And if you can break up the light and shadow in such a way that it works purely as a white and black, and it looks solid and it looks like what you want it to look like, then once you add the rendering, once you start, you reduce the line work and you start adding all the midtones, you start adding all the edges, it's much easier to pull out and just model a solid drawing that's already working than to sit down and just try to noodle and work out the rendering outside of something that's already got dark and light. You already have a black and white graphic shape. It's already working. And then you can build up from that and make something a lot more solid from that point. Yeah, so that's the way I would approach doing drawing from reference. So let me go back to reminding you everything that I said earlier about doing this. I look for the overall shape of the figure for the reference. Then I look for the gesture, and I look for the negative spaces in the drawing. So I'm looking for the negative spaces. I measure everything. I make sure that all the stuff, and you saw that in action. It's much easier to see that when I was doing that in as my demo, that I was measuring and I was comparing and I was checking. And I was adjusting, and I would be off, and then when I was off, I would fix it. And then I would I would measure everything, space and place, again, really, and that's the most critical part of all. And then I would find the volume of the forms afterwards. So then I would use my knowledge of anatomy when I was doing the shadowing and I was doing the final details. That's when I was thinking about structure and construction and relying on all my experience of having studied anatomy and studied construction and studied breaking things down simply and in shapes. That's when it came in at the very end. Find the volumes of the forms and all that stuff and trying to make it all work. But then the whole entire time I was still measuring everything, making sure that negative spaces were working. And generally looking to make sure that I've got everything measured and worked out okay. So that's what I would say about using reference, and that's how I would go about doing it. And I hope you've gotten a lot out of this, and I will see you next time. All right, bye. If you found this video valuable, I would like to encourage you to return value for value by becoming one of my patrons over on Patreon. Not only will you encourage me to continue making informative videos that are useful to you, but you get extra perks too. For only a small investment of $1 a month, you can get all new videos I create months before anyone else gets to see it. Also, if you have any questions you'd like me to answer as a patron, you get priority and I answer your questions first. On top of that, when you're a patron at any level, you become part of a raffle where I send original art via mail to the winner of that month. The higher your tier, the better your opportunity to win. Higher tier patrons also get access to any art I do in high-res JPEGs and also full access to PSD files to any work I do, including the PSD files of these videos. Currently, there's a huge backlog of downloadable files you can get, so right away you're going to get quite a lot of bang for your buck. And the more patrons I get, the better these videos will get. The more content I can produce. In other words, the more you benefit. Please consider becoming a patron. Thanks. The link to my Patreon is on the screen and in the description of this video.